Well, hello there, everyone. We're doing our last video of the year, doing our awards for 2023. And Merry Christmas to everyone, and let's get into it.
Yeah, so thanks for coming in. We're doing our awards, as Jacob said. We're going to be giving out 18 awards today. We're going to be going over streaming services. We're going to be talking about limited series, newcomers, ongoing series, and a whole bunch of different movies. So we're going to go through it. Let's get started. Let's not go with the biggest award first. How about we start off with something simple? What about the best streaming service of the year, Jacob? Who gets the award from you?
For me, that's Apple TV Plus, and the reason being is because it has the best quality of shows, and for me, that's what matters the most because quality is more important than quantity. Yes.
I've gone with Disney Plus. I think I agree with what Jacob says about Apple TV Plus. I do think it brings out good new content. I just think Disney Plus is a safe bet. It brings out quality content since taking over Fox and bringing over a lot of the Fox shows. I just think Disney Plus is the best quality. If I could only have one streaming service, I would be going with Disney. So Disney gets the awards this year. I think I may have given it the award last year too.
Yeah.
Okay, so next award. Let's move into... Definitely don't want to do the big ones yet. What about... let's do some streaming service stuff. What was your best limited series of the year?
The first time... what is a Australian limited series on Paramount Plus. It was a very enjoyable show. Haven't watched that many limited series this year. Unfortunately, that's why it's the limited series of the year.
So was it One Night?
One Night.
Yeah, so where do you find One Night?
On Paramount Plus.
Okay, Paramount Plus. I can't say I watched much Paramount Plus this year.
No.
It's probably I reckon it's the worst streaming service because it promises so much, you get near nothing, and
you get the Halo show.
Yeah, and worldwide people reckon it just has issues. I haven't experienced the technical issues, but I've heard a lot of Americans say that it brings up technical issues. So for me, my favorite limited series is I went with the Beckhams.
Okay.
So this is a Netflix original limited series about mainly about David Beckham. Very little about his kids. Fair amount about Posh and his relationship with Posh Spice. A lot of interviews with her. Really, really liked it. Haven't been the biggest soccer fan up until recently, and I thought it was a cool insight getting to know a bit more about David Beckham and how influential he was in sport. He's, kind of the original rock star of soccer almost. He kind of, as when players went from just being players to being brands, he was the face of, he's a model. He was the face of everything. His perfume is still probably one of the most sold perfumes around the world. Everyone has a bottle of David Beckham perfume. So he just pioneered it now where it's just common. We see athletes do that but he was kind of the first to do it. So I thought it was a really good limited series. Highly recommend it. What was the best TV series of the year for you, Jacob?
Of course, knowing me, it has to be Loki Season 2. That ending was such a nail-biter. Wish we were getting a Season 3, but can't have everything. And Tom Hiddleston has been playing the character for 14 years and gets such a superb ending. Really enjoyed how his character has now finished from the MCU. Of course, we'll see him back in Secret Wars and Avengers movies, but this has been my personal favorite show of the year from start to finish, and I think it's the best show on streaming services of 2023. And hopefully when we see Endor, unfortunately it's been delayed until 2025, that will win for 2025.
So for the best series, I went with The Last of Us. Big fan of the game. I think the show lived up to the hype. It did exactly what you expected. It was just as epic as the game. Very rewatchable. It was kind of one of the shows that, you know, people were like a water cooler show where people were talking about it. Everyone was looking forward to it. That hasn't been the common thread in recent years. So I really, really enjoyed The Last of Us. Looking forward to the next season when they eventually start filming it, which I believe is sometime next year. But it had the potential to disappoint, and it thankfully did not. And it actually widened or improved the experience that I got from the game. So really liked The
Do you
Last of Us.
think it was rushed though?
Oh, I wouldn't say it came across like the production as rushed. I think they could have stretched it out. I reckon with 2 episodes to go, I was going, well, clearly the first game is going to be spread over 2 seasons. There's no way they're going to fit this in. And they did. So yes, I do think it was squeezed in. So I see where you're going with that. Okay, so best TV series. Let's continue on with. Let's go. What was the best performance in a TV series or limited series?
For me, it's in Slow Horses, and that's Gary Oldman. And you're probably wondering, where has he been up to since The Darkest Hour when he was Clive Churchill? Well, he's been in Slow Horses on Apple TV Plus, and for me, season 3 has been such a nail biter. Just the subtle things that he's been doing has just been so laughable, but he's also been serious, and just the how he says things with the British sense of humor, just the performance. Have to award him for his performance, and best performance in TV show for me, and it's on Apple yet again.
Interesting choice. You say it's the 3rd season of this show?
It is.
And did it start on Apple or it moved
Yes.
over? Okay, I haven't heard of it until you mention it. So I've gone the best is in a show. I've gone from Ted Lasso. I have gone with the character that plays Roy Hunt, which is Brett Goldstein, who is at the end of what movie was it? He's
Hercules.
He's going to be Hercules. That's what they've led to through. It was which Marvel movie was it that featured
Thor: Love and Thunder?
Yeah, so you see him. You see him in the kind of the end credit scenes come up as Hercules.
Yeah.
So I thought he was really good. Last season of Ted Lasso. The reason why I think his performance was a standout is he kind of built throughout the seasons of being this, stubborn, stern player that everyone feared. Roy Hunt, he's very, very serious, and then he kind of broke that down this season and showed his vulnerabilities and became likable, became very funny. It's just, I thought it was interesting to show his performance as an actor to go from being one type. It seemed like he was typecast as one type of character, and then he kind of flipped the switch on it. So I think it was a really good performance and surprising.
Both performances on Apple.
Yeah, Apple TV is doing really well at the moment. So that's best series. What was your most disappointing show?
I see why you're doing that. It's The Creator on Apple TV Plus.
Show, not movies.
Sorry. The Changeling on Apple TV Plus. For me, the reason why it's the most disappointing is when me and Luke did the trailer reaction, I was so intrigued with this show. It looked like it was going to be this unique concept that was going to be a horror show. And then when I eventually watched it, it's like, what does this show want to be? Does it want to be a mental health show? Does it want to be a horror show? What does the show want to be? And I haven't finished it, but it's up. I'm up to episode 4, and I'm like, what? I'm disappointed because it does not know what it wants to be, and that's why it's disappointing, because from the trailer it looked awesome.
I've gone the exact same thing for very similar reasons. I thought this was going to be awesome. It's set up that it could have been, and yes, I know I also stopped watching it. I haven't watched the last maybe 2 episodes, but the show was at all nothing like what was promised. The trailers made it seem like it was going to be one thing, and it was something completely different, but it was bad different. Opposed to sometimes you get something different and it blows you away. It wasn't what you expected. This is the opposite. made it look like a masterpiece and ended up being a piece of rubbish, really. So that was the most disappointing show or limited series for me. I don't believe it'd be getting renewed. I don't even know if it's meant to. It might be a limited series. So that is, what about the most surprising TV show or limited series?
Based on a true story that is on Binge, and for me, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was, and then when I finished it, I was like, that was a really enjoyable and fun watch. I did get sick of the fake outs that the show had, but besides that, I really enjoyed my time with it. It is the other podcast show of murder mysteries, and we have had 3 of these types of shows, and it does a unique twist on it, but I would that's why I was surprised, because it did a unique twist on it. Yeah.
This is a show that I really want to I'm looking forward to seeing. I think without a doubt, I think I'm going to like it. I really think it's going to be right down my alley. So I'm looking forward to watching that, and I'm going to wait to the new year to watch it, but very excited about it. And
it got renewed as well.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. So I've gone with my most surprising limited series as The Bear Season 2, which you might wonder, how is that surprising? It's the second season. The first season was like one of my favorite shows last year. The reason is I did not know where this show could have went. I liked the first season. I was like, it's kind of a show about, I don't know where it's going. I really liked it, but I don't know why. I was just hooked on it. And I'm like, what could the second season be about? How long can this show go on for? And the second season was just completely different than the first. They changed it and it just worked. It actually got better. So it surprised me, because it was one of those shows I thought, there's no way they can improve on this, and they found a way to do it. So, and again, it's a show really about just a kitchen, but they find a way to get you involved in these people's lives. So I think they nailed it. It surprised me, the fact that it could get better than what it was. So
I still haven't finished it yet. I got sidetracked by the scene when the actress bought all the food in one day and somehow could afford it.
Yeah, you won't let that go. It's funny.
No.
But the thing is, when I watched it, I assumed maybe it was over several days.
No, it wasn't.
But then the thing is, you got to go, what, she couldn't get a hold of him for like 2 days? Like, he just like turned his phone off? Like, that's the only thing I could think of. Okay,
But
so
good choice.
So we're moved out of shows now. So now we're getting the bigger stuff. So movies. Let's go something easy. What was the most fun movie of the year?
Dungeons and Dragons Honor Mount Thieves. When I was in the movies, I really enjoyed every scene. It's not the best movie of the year. It doesn't have an extraordinary plot, but it just is a well worth good time for the family. Anyone can watch it. It does help knowing about the Dungeons and Dragons lore, but it's a enjoyable plot. Chris Pine as the bard. Really enjoyed my time with it, and I would recommend it for anyone to watch it. Yeah,
I totally agree. That movie, I wasn't expecting to like it. I thought, how could they? It just didn't look like it captured Dungeons and Dragons, or what I thought Dungeons and Dragons was when I saw the trailer. And I just thought, there's no way this movie can be good. And I'm not going to say it was fantastic.
No, it's not.
But it was without a doubt fun. I watched it and I was like, I came out of there and I was pleasantly surprised. So I think that was a good choice. I've gone with the most fun movie of the year as Barbie. So Jacob hasn't seen Barbie. Barbie was the most watched movie this year. It broke records at the box office. It is universally absolutely loved. And the reason is because it is fun. I think it appeals to heaps of people. I think you can't watch Barbie without laughing at it. Yes, you can pull it apart and say, that doesn't make sense. This is flawed. But every part about this show is fun, up into the minor details of, Barbie gets out of her bed and she's eating bowls of empty. There's nothing, because that's how a Barbie doll works. She gets her milk and she tips it, and there's nothing there because it's a toy. And I think they do that so well. the show is narrated, the movie, sorry, and it's got singing. So Lizzo sings throughout the movie, and she kind of sings and narrates what's happening, and then like Barbie reacts to it. It's just so many subtle things that are funny about this movie. I think it is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, and by far the funnest movie I've ever seen. And it's rewatchable over and over again, even to the silly parts of, Will Ferrell in the movie is so good. And there's scenes where characters are chasing each other and they're tripping over each other. There's everything about it is fun. That's the best way to describe it, is fun. So that's the most fun movie of the year. What was the best newcomer of the year? Oh, sorry, this is a TV series. We're going back to TV series I've missed on. What's the best newcomer TV series of the year?
For me, it is Silo yet again on Apple TV Plus, and I just love the world building. And I also read the book, and that for me, that gave me a different dynamic of watching it as well, because normally I don't read the books of things get adapted to, but I still very much enjoyed the show, but I didn't enjoy it as much. But from something that is a season 1, I think it crushes everything else. It has the acting, the cinematography, the world building, the production, everything about it. Apple do not skip a beat, and it's definitely worth watching. And I think it's the best newcomer of the year.
On Apple TV. Again, I've got picked one on Apple TV too. I've gone with The Shrinking. It helps when you got an absolute all-star cast in The Shrinking. But I think The Shrinking, I didn't know what it could be about or what to expect. And I just felt it was a comedy. It was the right type of comedy. It wasn't full out slapstick laughter like Platonic. Again, another Apple TV show. It was a bit dull. It was not to that extreme. I think that, it made you feel things. You were emotional at times, laughing at others. I was gripped by it. I just thought it, for a show that I didn't know what it could be about, it 100% did not disappoint. And I'm looking forward to future seasons of the show.
That ending, though.
I don't have a problem with the ending. I don't think it's an issue whatsoever. So going back to movies, the rest of the awards are about movies. Let's go. What was your favorite action movie of the year? So disclaimer, action, we are including superhero movies in action. Basically any movie where its biggest draw point is the fight scenes, the chasing, the cars, whatever. It's something along those lines. We're considering action.
Well, for me, it has to be Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And for me, it has to be because Tom Cruise does his own stunts. And for the stunt I'm referring to is when he uses the bike and jumps off and then goes to the train, and then all the action scenes, and then the submarine and everything with the movie. It's just an action pack start to finish. I personally think it's the best action power. I know John Wick 4 came out this year, but it kind of uses the same formula. And I know Mission Impossible does as well, but I prefer watching Ian Hunt as Tom Cruise do his own stunts, because you can tell he's passionate of doing his own stunts. So that's why it gets the best action movie of the year.
I found this is one of the hardest categories to pick, and that's why we extend it to include superhero movies, because I saw a couple of action movies, but it's not my
bread and butter.
Yeah, like I didn't see
John Wick 4.
I haven't seen any John Wicks. I haven't watched any of the Fast and the Furious since like maybe the fourth one. Yeah, so I saw one movie I saw that was full out action was Silent Night, but that was absolute trash. So that I can't give an award to a bad movie. What else? Indiana Jones, was it really action? I don't know. It had some in it. So I've gone the cheap cop out. I've gone with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Probably not because of the action, but it is an action movie by our definition, and it didn't fit in any other category worth winning an award. But emotional, funny, had action in it, So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I think a lot of people, that movie feels like it came out years ago. I think a lot of people have probably forgotten about that. And at the time it was a big talking point because we got to see feel all the emotions of Rocket Raccoon and, you know, finding out how he got his name and all his little friends that were experimented on and, you know, then dying and, you know, him trying to save the other animals. So it made you feel a lot of things. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a movie I think that's forgotten this year. Maybe a close second was Flash. I really liked the Flash, even though other people disliked it. I thought it was decent. So I'm going Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Good choice.
So best comedy movie. What have you got here?
Best comedy movie, I'm going with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just feel like the comedy was there for the younger generation and it was funny, light-hearted, and even though it probably wasn't as comedy focused and No Hard Feelings, what I haven't seen from the movies I've seen, you know, I laughed, I had fun, and for me that's what comedy's about.
So comedies are my thing. I really like comedies. I've seen a lot of funny movies this year. I did like No Hard Feelings. I thought that was an awesome comedy that changed it up a little bit. It wasn't exactly predictable as what you thought was going to happen. Saw a couple of very disappointing comedies, but I can't not pick Barbie. It was, as I said, the funnest movie of the year, and it was the movie that had me laughing the most, and very, very quotable. Lots of memes have came out of this film. Ryan Gosling probably will win some awards for his role, which is weird to think that he played a plastic doll, but he was so damn good in it. And Ryan Gosling, such an underrated actor. Yes, he's been in a lot of big roles, but he's played crazy different types of roles. And he, you know, he's started as a child star, so he's very, very good actor. So I'm going to go Barbie. I think it was the funniest and the funnest movie of the year, hands down.
Fair enough.
And Jacob needs to watch it.
I will at some point.
Let's move on to drama. What was the best drama of the year?
For me, and this is probably going to not win anything else because it's quite a long chatting fest, it is Oppenheimer. For me, it has the drama there because, you know, it's based on a true story. It's the Allies trying to invent this bomb at first because the Nazis have the smartest scientists, but we all know that eventually Nazi Germany falls, and then it's eventually to design the bomb to defeat Japan. But the drama in this movie is really the acting performances, because besides the scene when we actually get to see the bomb experiment, not a lot of action or stuff happens. So for me, the drama with this movie is the best of 2023, and it was definitely a big chatting fest, this movie. Yes,
I agree. I really enjoyed Oppenheimer. I couldn't find a reason to give it an award, but it's probably the best cinematic experience of the year or the best made film of the year, but we didn't have that as a category. So I didn't go Oppenheimer. I went with the best drama movie of the year was Hunger Games, The Ballad of the Songbird and the Snake. As a prequel, this movie I don't think was predictable. It made you cheer for the villain. It surprised me too. I just didn't think it was going to be good, and it blew me away. I think it was great, and it somehow made the Hunger Games trilogy series better, which usually prequels don't do that, or spin-offs ruin something. That was not the case in this. So that for me was the best drama of the year. We're getting close to it. What would we? Let's go on the negative side. What was the most disappointing movie of the year?
For me, I had so much high hopes for this movie because it looks so original and it is the creator. I'm very disappointed with this movie. From the trailers, I was to the hype that I thought this was going to be the best movie of 2023, and it failed that much that it made the most disappointed award. So that's how much it failed. for me, it got too much political. It started off really cool and just it was very disappointing that I would like there to be a sequel, but I don't think we're getting one. And basically, it just turned into robots made a mistake, even though they bombed humans. But humans are the bad guys, and yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, I totally agree with the creator. That this movie has pulled at my strings quite a bit because you showed me the first trailer and you said this movie. You're like, oh, people are hyped about this movie, and I watched the trailer and go, I don't care. It's not my thing. I'm not into sci-fi. Not interested. The next trailer comes out and I go, oh, this looks pretty good. I'm looking forward to this. Then I saw it at the cinemas and I go, the trailer, I go, I'm really looking forward to this movie. And I saw they had advertisement at, different sporting events in America. I'm like, they're building up this movie. This thing's going to be huge. And, Denzel Washington's son was in it. He seems to only be in epic movies, which now seem to be always flops. I don't know. The movies he goes in, I think, end up disappointing. I think Tenet comes to mind. So I went from not caring to being super hyped to only just be completely disappointed by this film, where if I didn't get hyped, it would have just went over my head and be like, well, it's sci-fi. It's not for me.
What do you think the moment was with the movie when you thought this was a terrible movie? Was it when they got the child in the room? Was it when you saw the child and basically the child was his because metaphorically it was theirs?
I don't know what stood out about it. I think it had all the recipe to be a good movie. I think the premise of, when we started to find out that, humans are fighting against AI. AI, supposedly set off this bomb. Then we find out that's not true. The AI are actually the good people. The humans are the ones that made the mistake. And you go, oh, that's a really good premise. And you go, oh, they've made this combination of half human, half AI thing that can control machines. I was like, well, it's a bit weird, but I don't mind it. This person's going to be the savior. It's going to, mend the war between the two factions. I was like, okay, it's pretty cool. Him discovering that lots of spoilers. His wife is the creator, or she was the daughter of the creator. I go, oh, again, that's pretty cool. He's searching for her. He finds out that she's not dead, but she's not coming back, and he has to pull the plug. Okay. And then, he then sees the AI. They've made heaps and heaps of AI versions of her, and her memories are being downloaded on a chip. And if you just put it inside, he basically gets her back. And you're like, oh, but then, that doesn't work. It has if you break it down, it has all the recipes of being a good movie, but for some reason it didn't work. I look back and I'm like, I wouldn't watch it again.
It's on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, but if you explain to me the plot or even just talking about it then, I go, that sounds like an awesome movie. Yeah, but for some reason it just wasn't. I don't know what it is. Something about it just didn't work for me. So my most disappointing movie of the year, I've gone with Bottoms. I think why it was disappointing is I heard people say good things about it. I read about it and that is my type of movie. This is a comedy. It's a bit of a parody. It's going to be silly, like a teenage drama, this a bit of a twist on it. So we've got lesbian females trying to pick up other females, opposed to usually it's the horny boys trying to pick up girls. They've flipped the switch a little bit. And I was like, okay, let's go. This could be real funny. They start this fight club. You see the trailer and you're like, they're punching the shit out of each other. You go, oh, this is going to be kind of funny. And it was absolutely rubbish. Everything about it was bad. They didn't even get the parody stuff right. I think of classic parody type movies,
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs, that's probably one of the early ones. I think of in my when I was a kid, the Scary Movie franchises, they kind of went over the board where they made the one there was a parody of Twilight, and then there's just heaps of them. But those were over the top parodies, and you knew it. You're like, this is an absolute joke, but it works. Where this was a parody film, but the whole script was original, which didn't work. I think a parody film needs to be, that's a scene from that movie, but they're going to do their own version of it, and you laugh because you're like, I know what movie that they're trying to parody. But this wasn't. It didn't parody anything. It was just a parody of a genre of film, and I didn't work. I just think it missed the mark. I think it could have been good and it just wasn't. So Bottoms, absolutely disappointed for me. But other people said it was good. I can't fathom what was good about it at all.
You and Zach had a discussion.
And I love comedy movies. I think Hubie Halloween is hilarious, and I think That's My Boy is like one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And if you can laugh at those two movies, you could laugh at anything, but not this one. Let's go. What was your most surprising movie of the year?
My most surprising movie of the year is The Hunger Games, The Ballad of the Songbird and Snake. And for me, I enjoyed The Hunger Games, going to the cinemas and watching part 1 and part 2. But for me, I wasn't expecting this one to actually be better than the original trilogy. And that's why I think it's surprising, because I thought it was going to be good, but not to the stakes that you could argue that it might be the number 1 or number 2 best film of the franchise. And I think that's because it's about President Snow, who's actually more of an interesting character than Cassidy. So for me, I just was surprised with how the movie was, and I am actually more interested to know about this world and universe, what I wasn't with the other films. So this movie did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I agree. It surprised me for sure. But I've gone for my most surprising film of the year is Super Mario. One great film, but leading up to this film coming out, it was just a laughingstock. People like, you can't have Chris Pratt playing Mario. Like, he doesn't have an Italian accent. And they're like, well, if he does put on an Italian accent, is that racist? And it was just talked about, like, how is this going to work? How do they make this film work? And then you see the trailer and you see them on the go-kart, the Mario Karts come out, and everyone's like, oh, it's going to have Mario Kart in it. Like, it's going to be good. And it just lived up. It did it. I think they found a way to make an interesting plot. I think the voice acting was on point. I think Chris Pratt as Mario was awesome. I think that the 2 stars of the show were for sure Jack Black as Bowser and Charlie Day as Luigi. I thought they were so good. I thought everything about Mario really hit the mark. They found a way to make the world come to life, but it still be a game. They're like, oh yeah, we have power up and we don't know how it works, but it just gives us powers. You're like, I'm cool with that. And there's like bricks floating. They're like, are you worried about these bricks floating? They're like, yeah, we don't know how they work. And it's like, it's cool. They somehow made it feel like the game, you know, even to the point of when they went to the Donkey Kong's like Banana Kingdom, whatever it's called, and they built their carts. It played the music from the games, and they're like the same thing, and they're scrolling through and customizing their carts. I thought they nailed it. I think it's very rewatchable. So it surprised me because I thought this movie is going to be a flop, and it was the complete opposite. I think it's one of the best movies I saw all year.
Good choice.
Okay, we're getting to the pointy end. Let's go. What was the most appealing film to the casual audience? So one that you just think, you know, if I had to recommend this to if I was to put a movie night on and I was going to put it at, you know, like a park and invite, you know, I wanted to try and get the most amount of people to come watch this film and be happy, or like my family are over for Christmas. What's something I can chuck on that I think most people are going to be happy with? What's the most appealing to the casual audience?
I'm going to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And for me, because it has a not so hard plot that you need to grasp your mind over like Tenet or The Creator, I think this movie is simple enough that you root for the main characters, and it is a fun movie, like I said in the comedy section. And for me, I had a blast with this movie, and I think it's for all ages. It's for kids, adults, fans of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I think it's for everyone of all ages, and I think, yeah, anyone can watch it.
Yeah, I rate it. I really like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm not going to say it. I think it's great for the casual audience because I just think animation, I find it's a hard mix to get people on board. But I'm going to go off a movie that I've given lots of awards to already, and I've gone Barbie. I think anyone will look at this and laugh. because and the reason I think it appeals to a wide audience is because it's so stupid that you go, this movie, every person is going to be pulled apart and go, oh, but they're just going to laugh at it. There's no doubt you're going to laugh at it. So even if you were to, you get your 80-year-old grandma that, doesn't care or know what's going on, she will laugh at this film. I just think it's kind of age appropriate for most people. The only people I don't think that are going to laugh is probably kids. Like if I chucked it on for a toddler, they're going to be like, oh, they're not going to laugh. The jokes will just go over their head. But I think any teenager or above is going to find something to laugh at this, or at least find it interesting, because it's kind of simple in nature and the plot itself isn't that important. Like, it has a pretty deep plot, but you could just watch it to laugh, just for the gags. So I think it's the most appealing to the casual audience, which the box office numbers absolutely confirm that. Okay, we're moving up to 3 awards to go. What was the best animated film of the year in your mind?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because I just found that for its first attempt of starting a new franchise, it nailed it. Yes, it copied from Spider-Man franchise, but for me, it just nailed not being a live action, and it's better than the live action films, and I think it suits being a animation franchise from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I think for its first attempt of starting a franchise, it nailed it, and now we can start off with the sequels, and it can maybe even be better than the Spider-Man movies. Who knows?
I've gone exactly the same. This movie surprised me. I knew nothing about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I went in there thinking, I can't imagine this being good, and I liked it. And the reason I liked it more than Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was I thought the animation was, I thought it was cooler. I actually thought it was better animation. I think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is wild, like really good animation, but this just didn't go too far. It just kept it in its own lane, and it found a way to be unique yet again. I thought as a film, it was funny. I watched it a second time the other day. The voice acting is so good. Their choices, Ice Cube as Superfly, absolutely nailed it. Getting young kids to voice the Mutant Ninja Turtles was awesome. I believe was Jackie Chan Splinter.
Yes.
It was so good. They nailed it with the voice acting. The music in this is the best. That is what makes it. I think the amount of old school hip hop that they chuck in there, the music is the best part. I think it's funny. Oh, forgetting about voice acting, you've also got people like Paul Rudd, Rose Byrne, John Cena. Just nailed it. This movie ticks so many boxes, and I will stand by that. I think it was better than Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, mainly as well because it's a first attempt and it's not a sequel. So as a first attempt, I think it deserves the award over something that already had crazy momentum like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Plus, that was already released as being a part 1 or 2, so it just had too many things in its favor, where this was something that's been remade so many times, you just expected it to be bad, and it wasn't. Okay, last 2. Before we're going to finish with the best movie of the year, let's go with what was your best performance in a movie, best acting performance yourself?
Well, for me, it's yet again from Oppenheimer, because acting is really what this movie was known for. And for me, it was the villain from this movie, and it was from Robert Downey Jr. For me, his performance is what, I shouldn't say what carried the movie, but it was one of the reasons why the movie was so good. He is one of the superb actors that you can get. His portrayal of Tony Stark was amazing, but now he did this movie and it was amazing performance from, I know he played someone that was real, but still he portrayed it very, very well. And one of my friends, when we saw this movie, didn't even recognize that it was Robert Downey Jr. I think when you do a performance as well as that, you deserve an award.
I agree. I think he did a very good performance. Almost a performance of a lifetime. But I've gone with the best performance for me. I've gone with Matt Damon in Air.
Very good choice.
He found a way to make a fairly mundane, boring character interesting. Like the guy that didn't discover, but he saw potential in Michael Jordan that others didn't. It's like, well, he's the greatest player of all time. Like you go, well, that's wow. Who didn't see that? I don't know. I wasn't alive. But you go, so he somehow made something that seemed like, well, how's he an important character? Who wouldn't have known that? Like he fought to get the shoe signing of the guy that everyone wanted to sign, but yet he performed well, made it work. Matt Damon is one of the greatest actors of all time. So I'm going to give it to Matt Damon from Air, which gets us to our last award, the best movie of the year. What did you pick, Jacob?
And I have chosen Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. For me, I really liked how the story has evolved from Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. Now we're getting different Spider-Man from different variant multiverses. And the one reason why I didn't like this movie is because of that cliffhanger, but now I'm becoming accustomed to it. Also like how this movie, the main character of the franchises is Miles, but with this movie, the main character for Across the Spider-Verse is Spider-Gram, and I liked how they showed her journey from not wanting to share with her father, and it's just so many emotions with the animation, a lot more than what they can do in live action, and I'm really looking forward to what they do in Beyond the Spider-Verse. And for me, it was the most packed movie I've been to this year, and for me, it was the best movie of the year.
So I've gone with, which is a bit contradictory to when we did our top 5 movies of the year live stream last week. I've rethought about it. I think Air was the best movie. And the reason is last week we went with my top 5 favorite movies. And I think your favorite can be different than quality. I think Air was the best quality, best made film of the year, in my opinion. I think it captured a time in culture and history. It nailed the fashion, the music, the style. I think it nailed that. I think the performances are great. They found a way to make a pretty mundane topic interesting. And so I just think that's what made it good. If I was to say what was the best quality or like movie that blew you away with special effects and everything, it's Oppenheimer. But I think Oppenheimer is like the reverse. It's a topic that's kind of interesting that they made somewhat boring. Like I liked the movie, but geez, I couldn't watch it twice. I really couldn't watch it twice. So, but it's a masterpiece, but it's one of those things you got to watch once, but only once.
Yeah, I think the problem I have with Air is that decision that they had when Matt Damon's character is talking to Michael Jordan. That is the weirdest scene I've ever seen in an acting performance, when the actor that was playing Michael Jordan did not speak back. Human beings don't.
My only thought as to why this is, and I'm sure we could find it, is Michael Jordan has some weird ass rules about himself. Like
he does.
Like you've seen the Last Dance. They asked for permission to film that season, and he's like, okay, but under my conditions, I own the footage. No one else can touch it until I deem appropriate. And then someone had to beg him to make The Last Dance. So it's like he probably had some kind of.
We got some comments.
Hey, hello, Dark Movies. Already watched Oppenheimer twice. Wow. Was it better the second time? I couldn't watch it twice. I liked it, but I think I have to give it a break before I watch it a second time. So where I was going with this, I was talking about, I just think Michael Jordan probably had some kind of weird rule that, you can't watch the movie, you can't have someone portray me in a movie. Not allowed. Or if they do, they're not allowed to talk because they might say something and I don't think that reflects me. And I reckon it was a Michael Jordan thing. Like he's got some serious power and money. I reckon it was his choice. Like it had to be. Like surely the director knew. They're like, or maybe they had to pay like royalties to have someone pretend to be him and they couldn't afford it. I don't know, but it would be something weird like that. Because of course you'd have Michael Jordan speak. Why wouldn't you? Like there wasn't a tactical choice.
It's just a very weird scene.
Okay, so best movie, best performance. That's all wrapped up. I was just thinking back. So what are some like honorable mentions or things we didn't put in? So something comes to mind, something that I didn't think deserved an award was the best musical of the year. Because I don't think I saw enough. Like when I saw maybe Wonka and The Little Mermaid. But I think Wonka was pretty good.
It was good.
But I can't find an award worth giving it. Do you have any movies that you think deserve an award, but there's no award that really exists for them? It's just like an honorable mention, like, you know.
Well, I was tossing up with Air to be my favorite movie of the year, but because of the scene I was talking about, for me, you can't have a scene like that to be the best movie of the year. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse does not have a scene like that to be number one. And to be number one, you have to be not flawless, but very good.
We both liked Wonka as well. So thank you, Dark Movies. And see, there's another movie that I thought it kind of came in a close second and everything. I was kind of The Marvels. You know, it could have been the best action movie of the year. It could have been the funniest movie of the year. It could have been the best drama. It just had it was so close. It just missed out on the awards in every category. So, you know, it was equally almost the most exciting and the most disappointing. No, I'm just kidding.
Had cats in it.
Yeah, no, The Marvels was okay though. I didn't mind it. Champions, that was a movie that was so close to winning so many things. That was my favorite movie of the year, but I couldn't give it the best drama. I couldn't make it the best comedy. Like, yes, it was funny, but it wasn't super funny. It's not appealing to everyone, so I couldn't put in the most like appealing to the general audience. It was just not enough to win any of those categories, but it was my favorite movie of the year, but not the best. The Marvels was entertaining, but not amazing. Yeah, I agree. Jacob didn't like it. I thought it was okay. It was what I expected it to be. It was just as I didn't expect it to blow me away. I expected it just to be average, and it was average. So, any other honorable mentions or things you want to talk about before we wrap it up? This is our last video of the year.
I guess who would you like to see replace Kang in the MCU, since Jonathan Major won't be doing that anymore because of his personal life?
Torn up here. Would I have just liked to seen them skip the Kang dynasty, just end it, move on to the next thing?
Doctor Doom instead.
Yeah, just move on to something else. Because I don't like a recast. I really don't like a recast. You know, it would be funny if they brought back the character that originally played who Don Cheadle plays in the Iron Patriot.
War Machine.
Yeah, like if they just brought back the character that played him and they got him to play someone else. And I was like, oh, what? He was already in the Marvels. Yeah, he was already in an MCU thing. Something funny like that. I guess they're probably going to have to go for a black actor. Like, that just makes sense. You're not going to chuck in Mark Wahlberg or something and people are like, Kang looks a bit different. But I don't know about, you said Denzel, maybe a bit old, but I guess time traveler. I don't know. I just think they can't now. I think like we've already envisioned this character and he's been in multiple things. You could recast someone after one movie, but not after movies and shows. And I guess fortunately they can kind of write it off and go, oh, he's a different variant. You kind of like, they go, well, you saw Loki's an alligator, so who says that Victor Timely can't suddenly look like Denzel Washington? So they luckily could recast someone pretty easily in that way. But yeah.
So you would prefer it if they found a way to bring a different villain in, and with the X-Men, coming into the universe, you'd prefer it if we got Doctor Doom to be the villain?
Yeah, I think so. Move on. I'll just keep bloody Jonathan Majors in. I'm not condoning what he did, but let's put it this way: there's actors that have done some pretty bad things. Didn't Robert Downey Jr. go to jail? And fucking Mark Wahlberg used to steal cars? Like, come on. like there's been people that kept their jobs for work. Okay. All righty, I'm going to try and sleep now. 4:30 a.m. Very tired. Anyway, would like to see Doctor Doom, honestly, but I love Denzel Washington. Thank you, Dark Movies, and
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, good night. So yeah, I'd rather them just move on. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not condoning what he's done, but there's been people that have, done a lot worse things that have continued their acting career. I think Marvel's just got like a no nonsense policy, which is, that's up to them. So maybe move on. So this is our award ceremony for 2023. We do know there's still movies coming out.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to do it early. Like, it's almost like, do we wait till next year to do it? Because Boxing Day is one of the biggest release days historically for movies, and New Year's Day, but then that becomes the next year. Anything coming out before the end of the year that you think may have creeped into a list?
Not really. Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. I don't think that would have won anything.
I fear that Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom could be the most disappointing movie of the year.
Yeah.
Because I loved the first one. I know you did.
Yeah.
And the more I see the trailers, I just don't think it's going to be good, which sucks because I like it. So I think it could be the most disappointing because it had such a high bar to live up to, and it may not do it. But I hope that's not the case. I really hope it doesn't. Moving into next year, anything what's the most exciting movie you're looking forward to coming out next year?
Deadpool 3.
Yeah, so that's the only MCU movie coming out next year, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only movie I can think of off the top of my head that's coming out next year that I'm really looking forward to. There's probably others that I don't know of. Can you think of any cool movies coming out next year? I can't say I've really kept track of what's coming out next year.
Not as much as Deadpool 3.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Deadpool 3 because it's the only thing I can think of. Anything TV related you're looking forward to? A new season of a show or a new show?
Boys season 4.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that. But I'm going to say I'm looking forward to the TED show the most.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is going to be amazing. I'm so stoked for it. I can't wait for the TED show to come out.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. So from me, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Sign us off for 2023, Jacob.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and Happy New Year, and look forward to seeing you in 2024. And as always, you're awesome and keep being awesome, and see you next time, and let the force be with you. Bye-bye.
See ya.